Good noon. I'm presenting on Baggy Lids with an Untold Story. Myself, Dr. Samvedya, and my mentor, Dr. Shivan, present to you a case of a 41-year-old female who presented with outward turning of her left eyelid for the past 20 years. She gives history of recurrent lid edema in her left eyelid since many years, following which she developed drooping of her left eyelid. Ptosis correction was done in the same eye, probably frontalis link 25 years back elsewhere, of which no records were available. And since 20 years, she has progressive outward turning of her left eyelid. She gives no history of any allergy or no family history of any lid edema or ptosis. Ocular examination, her best corrected visual acuity was 6 and 6 in both eyes, and extraocular movements were full and free in both eyes. On examination, there was upper lid and lower lid ectropion, and there was lacrimal gland prolapse, and shortening of the horizontal palpebral fissure in the left eye. There was chronic exposure changes of a conjunctiva, and a sling-like material was present beneath the skin, probably frontalis sling, and a right eye myotosis. Her upper lid skin was thinned out, looking like cigarette paper-like appearance. There was subtle proptosis and rounding of the lateral canthus suggesting lateral canthal dehiscence. We took a CT orbit which confirmed 2 mm proptosis in the left eye. Rest of her anterior segment examination were within normal limit in both eyes, and posterior segment examination was also normal. Considering her history and clinical features, we diagnosed it as blepharochalasis syndrome. As the patient was facing all the sequelae of the blepharochalasis and she wanted one sitting management, I approached my mentor for her further management.
So we went ahead with the surgery. A lateral canthotomy was done, and the lacrimal gland prolapsed. Lacrimal gland was fixed to the lateral orbital rim periosteum with the 50 polyclamping sutures. The proptosis was managed with fat and bone removal decompression. The fat was removed from the inferomedial, inferolateral, and the supromedial compartments, and the inferior bone was removed with the punch. The LPS was found to be completely dehisced, and the sling was removed, and the LPS was then reattached into the tarsus. So once the sling is removed itself, the upper lid ectropion was getting corrected. Also, additionally, the upper lid is forming sutures with 50 polyclamping sutures, which are then secured with the bolsters. The lower lid ectropion was corrected with the inverting sutures, and there was significant posterior lamellar shortening. So we took a tarsoconjunctival graft from the other eye, and finally the lateral canthus was reconstructed by attaching the lateral edge of the upper and lower tarsus to the lateral orbital rim periosteum. Finally, the wound was closed in layers after excising the excess skin from the upper lid. So this is a 2 weeks and 2 months post-operative. Here we can see that the ptosis, ectropion, everything is well corrected, and the lateral canthus is looking good in shape. So this is at final follow-up, that is 3 years. There was no recurrence. We know that blepharochalasis, it is actually a diagnosis based on the natural history more than the clinical presentation. So it has got an active phase and a quiescent phase. So each of these manifestations, there's a definite reason for this. The skin becomes cigarette paper-like thing because of the loss of the elastin and collagen fibers. There is weakening because of the recurrent bouts of edema. There is stretching or desensitization of the aponeurosis causing ptosis. Also, same happens in the septum that causes the lacrimal gland prolapse, and also the anterior bulging of the orbital tissues causing subtle proptosis in around 12% of the cases. There can be fat atrophy. So histopathology shows significant loss of the elastin fibers, and recently the direct immunofluorescence shows abundant fibrillar IgA deposit, probably suggestive of an immunological background. So the differential diagnosis, it varies, depends on whether it is an active phase or a quiescent phase. So we have to remember that when we go ahead with the surgical correction, there should be a period of 1 to 2 years without any activity. But earlier intervention can be done when there's an impaired functional vision or serious cosmetic disturbance, provided we have to tell the patient there's a higher chance of recurrence. So the surgical approach depends on each individual's unique clinical circumstance, and it is always better to ideally correct the canthal first before the ptosis, because otherwise it can lead to temporal peaking because of the lateral canthal tendon. So here, as Dr. Samveda already described, she had all possible sequelae of blepharochalasis, making it very challenging, and one-stage surgery was requested by the patient. So in blepharochalasis, usually the LPS function is preserved, only thing is it is dehisced. So it is better to go for a LPS surgery rather than a sling. Probably in this case, the primary pathology itself plus the sling would have aggravated the ectropium. So the ptosis, LPS reattachment, lateral canthus needs to be fixed, lacrimal gland needs to be fixed, also the lower lid reconstruction. So to remember, though it appears as a complicated case at first glance, once we take a careful history, detailed examination, each problem can be approached individually. Thank you.
This much of ectropium in the lower lid.
I think because of the disease pathology itself.
Upper lid, it is more contributed by the sling.
Yeah, probably both.
And what about the right eye? There is mild ptosis in the right eye also.
Yeah, but we couldn't correct both eyes at one go, and the patient didn't.
No family history, nothing.
No family history, nothing.
Why do you think that the first surgeon would have done a sling?
This is what I want to highlight. We should understand the pathology and correct it. It is in blepharochalasis, the LPS is dehisced. So once we reattach it, usually it gets corrected.
So you mean to say that initially the first surgeon would have thought that the LPS is not functioning correct?
Yeah, we don't know, sir.
No, removing the sling. You didn't plan a sling when you were planning for the surgery.
No, sir. No.
You were all fully fixed that you will be able to repair the LPS and
No, actually,
attain the results.
No, we thought we will see while we do the surgery how we can correct it to the for the optimal result. So once we removed the sling, the ectropium was getting corrected, and then we saw that LPS edge was completely detached. So once we attached it, the lid was lifting up.
Thyroid functions were normal.
Yeah. Yes.
Movements. And movements are also normal.
Yes. Yes. Movements are normal.
Actually, the patient developed in that same age group of blepharochalasis 20 years back. She is now
41.
41. So actually, is that pubertal age
Yes.
initial symptoms. And
Yes.
suggestive of
Blepharochalasis.
So Fornali strain was the mistake done by the initial surgeon. Maybe patient had severe ptosis at that time.
Maybe.
You didn't get any previous photographs of the patient before the first surgery.
No.
Usually they will have, young surgery.
We couldn't get.
Was she happy with the first surgery? Like after the surgery, did her condition improve or anything like that in the history?
Yes, initially there was an improvement, but over 5 years, she started getting the ectropion.
Seems as if the tarsal plate has been lifting
Coming
from
down.
the bottom end.
It's
and
like a
it's
tarsal
getting around.
ectropion.
Yeah, it's turning around.